Hello everybody, I am the Stay-at-Home Dad Gamer, here to bring you another Transformers review. This time it is Machine Boy Nightingale, which is the KO of the Warbotron Whirlwind, which is it's the third-party version of Vortex from the Bruticus combiner. And as you may already know, the Warbotron one is kind of a gray. I actually really like this blue, even though I do like gray as a color. This blue one looked really good to me, and mostly as a price though. But you know, it's still, all in all, I just liked everything about it, so I decided to pick it up. Did not come in a box, but it came with this little like thicker cardboard. I don't think it's laminated. God of War showing the Bruticus, which they don't have Onslaught out yet. Hoping he comes soon. The back's just God of War, Machine Boy toys. Also comes with the instructions, which they're decent instructions. Show how to get to arm mode, the different modes. I only really looked at it to make sure the arms were fine for helicopter mode, but I'm a weirdo and that's kind of what I like to do. I don't like to use instructions if I don't have to. The one I bought came with 2 free Decepticon stickers. I was hoping I could just put one on there. Might still, put it on his cockpit, so he'll be identified as he's supposed to be, even though he's not officially a Decepticon. Here is the helicopter form. He has landing gear with rolling wheels for no discernible reason. These don't really roll. They can, but they're not that great. So, and even though this goes down, it's supposed to be like that, which is kind of weird. But I honestly don't even use landing gear. Well, that's time to fold it up. Sometimes it gets a little stuck. Yeah, like there, it's not 100% great, and there's a little gap there, but this actually helps. We'll get to that in a second. Other than that, it's a pretty good looking helicopter. I like how these panels that cover up a gap in the forearm fold to fill out a gap here. That's really nice. It was the only thing I actually missed doing it myself. But the front of it here, the cockpit area, is just really big. Like on the video and in pictures, it doesn't look that big, but in person, I guess this is kind of thick too, but it just looks cartoony to me. Like it looks like chibi, whatever. Like it's big. It's just kind of goofy to me. Not a huge thing, but it's there. And then the cockpit opens for no real reason. It's just cool. Tail rotor. That spins. It's in focus. And the whole one does spin, just not super well, which you may have seen in other reviews. This is a problem with the mold itself, not the KO of it. It has like just ridiculously little clearance between those two. Design elements that I wish would have been different on the mold itself, not just the KO version, as I will say. This should have been farther back, and I wish the feet did something more. They just kind of fold back. They don't even like attempt to do it. It just looks kind of goofy to me. It's not a huge deal, but it just looks kind of odd. But other pluses besides these, I really like these guns. They look really cool. Besides, I mean, this is cartoony big, but it looks like this means business. That's all I'm saying. And these guns are cool up here. I like them in this configuration, but these things like pivot so you can put them out, which I think also looks cool. And these are removable. You can fold that up and you can put them in here if you want, because there's a peg hole. This will be on the forearm, but you can plug those in there, which I think also honestly looks pretty cool. But let's get him into robot mode. I'm not really going to cover the arm mode because I don't have the fist. It goes down here, so I probably cover that when I eventually get the rest of the Bruticus team, and then I'll show them all in the other forms and stuff. But first, what I like to do is you pop those out, the arm things, and if you want, you can flip the hands. I would have them with the fingers facing out, so you can use that as a way to get them out. Mine, the wrist is actually really loose. Not necessarily to the point of floppy. Like on its own, it won't do it, but if it's holding something, it will. And that's kind of what I am not too fond of. But we'll get to that in these panels. Fold down to cover in that gap, which is good because I know some people really don't like those gaps. All right, and then if you want, you can. I like to put the point back here and then pop. And that comes off. So yeah, a little bit of parts forming. I don't mind. It's not a huge deal to me. I'd rather have them just cool in all their forms. And then this splits apart and folds down. And then you'll want to. This is kind of the weird part, is transforming the legs, because you like pull that up, and then these can kind of come down. And thankfully there is this split here. It looks kind of weird, but it's on the bottom, so that kind of can help you get in there to split these apart sometimes. There you go. And those split apart, and then you want to rotate those kind of to the side, out, and then the feet go back, and then this will go all the way down. Doesn't really tab in. It does sit there fairly securely. It's just not the tightest connection. And then these, you want to rotate them back there so they can fold up. And you can fold them up however you want. I like to set them a little bit farther back so they kind of sit under this little ledge here. I think that looks best. So do it again on the other side. There might be a way to do this without like half doing a step and then, you know, half another step and then half a third step and then finish them all, but that's the way I do it. And those go full fists. And here you want to kind of push back at the bottom here, and here it will snap as it comes loose from that, and it'll rotate up. You can, let's get the camera up. This will come down, and then you can see his face in there. Hello. And the light's on. Hello. It's kind of funny because like the top of his head is actually visible in vehicle mode. You just, unless you know it's there, it's actually kind of hard to notice. Kind of have to untab these. Sometimes this works really easily, sometimes it doesn't. There's these, I guess, unslot them? These are tabs. There you go. And then this, you then you'll want to loop that down because there's like a hinge here. You want to hinge it down and it'll tab in down there. And then it's still, you can still dance, but this part, the back, actually folds down and sits under that, like right on this ledge, which actually then makes him really sturdy. Kind of worries me. It doesn't seem like it's the best way to do that, but you know, it works, and that's what's important, right? There he is in robot mode. And he's got waist swivel that on mine is really tight. Kind of worries me. These hip panels do move. Again, they're tight on mine. Universal hip thigh swivel. Good knee bend, 90 degrees or really close to it. Doesn't really have ankle tilts, but you can tilt the toes. And even though like the part on the toe, like the ball joint for the toe is on mine loose, the peg, like this joint, actually isn't. So he can stand on his tiptoes. So, yeah, weird that even though there's a loose joint, part of the part that matters is really tight, which is good. And he's, you know, fairly posable. He's got the elbow joint. The wrist can swivel, which is good. That one is fine on mine. It's the up and down for transformation. It's really loose. He's got a bicep swivel. He's got a out elbow or a shoulder, which is good. I wish he had a shoulder swivel, but I understand, you know, limitations. But this joint is really tight on mine on both sides. Kind of worry about it actually breaking. And swivel shoulder. Head is on a ball joint. Sorry, I don't have the best lighting for all this stuff. And yeah, you can, you know, hold his poses pretty well. I had a crazy one earlier. I was actually able to get him to stand like this. Now he's probably not gonna, oh, the back one wasn't. Yeah, see? So, you know, actually pretty good. He is the KO one, and the joints are, on the whole, really good. I would, you know, I think the quality is actually very surprisingly good for a KO, and I am really, really happy with them. The wrist ones, like I said, are loose, but that actually works with back here because the rotors come out, or the blades of the rotor come out, and they are swords, which, if you're a giant man-child like me, is totally awesome. So that actually works. The loose ones work with that, the sword. And he can, of course, hold both. And also a couple other cool things with the swords. You can plug them in on his arms if you want. You can plug them in up here if you want. So you can be like Crazy Blade Man. You can plug them in sideways, which is awesome. I think that's really, really good on toys, is if you give them these extra peg holes and sometimes extra pegs, you know, just because it gives you other stuff to do with them, which I think is really, really awesome. Lets us all be children, right? And these guns from earlier can also go back where they were. You can leave them on for transformation. I actually, like, I can't decide which I like better, because I like them up there for the shoulders, but I also like them out. You know, like, that looks really cool. Like less practical, but looks cool. These can also go on his forearms like earlier, and they have a little peg here that's actually, even though I loosened the screw here, pain in the butt to get out, because there's like this little tab there, but that I can't do that. Even with longer fingernails, it just doesn't. You can't really get the torque necessary. And you can plug those in there. You can give them forearm cannons, which is kind of cool. I actually vastly prefer them up here. Also, these missile things are removable from the helicopter mode. When I got mine, these weren't on. I wasn't actually sure where they went, and then I saw the picture. I was like, oh, they go there. And you can turn these around. I've seen pictures where they drop it and then put it on. But I don't really like that, because it kind of loses the definition of the bicep there, and it can go back, but it looks really goofy to me. What I would have preferred is if the holes were either they only had the central hole, so you could just swivel it around, or if they had the hole on either side, and then instead of this middle peg, put it down here. Just make that thicker, because it doesn't really need to be thinner there. And then, so when you plug it on, when you take it off and plug it, it would go like the other way, and that would be perfect. But otherwise, as it stands, it sits up higher, and I don't like that, so I just leave him there. He has enough weaponry that I don't think in robot mode he needs these two little missiles on either side. Or maybe he'll just shoot himself with them. I don't, not my thing. I just leave them. Honestly, I might even just take them off. Like, I don't fully need them in this mode, and I'm okay with the parts forming. But he also has the front of it, which can transform into a gun, which is cool. You just turn that back. And you can hold that peg, but also you can flip out a bigger one. Now, the problem with this, you may realize, is his wrist. Where it works with the sword, does not work with the gun. Little floppy. Also, this is where you, if you want him to hold this gun, I would recommend taking that off so it can fit better on there. But yeah, it's not so great. Works a little bit better with the shorter ones sometimes on mine, but yeah, that's the only part I really don't like, is because I like this gun. It's a bit big, a bit goofy, but looks kind of cool. Just kind of sad that mine doesn't hold it. You can, if you want, to plug it in back here into his rotor thing. Or up here. You can, of course, do that. Or the forearm. Again, they look a little bit goofy, but I like that there's the option. Really like that there's that option. Alright, so, and the other thing with this guy, a little bit of a bonus, which is awesome, is in here, thankfully when I got mine, they were not actually in here, but you can pop this up, assuming it wants to behave. Nope, doesn't want to behave. There we go. Pop off these panels and it has these little things. This is where they store. These were super tight on mine. I had to like pry this one up. Thankfully these just came in the bag with him and not in there, otherwise I would only have one of them. Because like that one I got off. This one, I don't know if you can see, but it's like all scratched up and stuff because I've been trying to get it open and it's just not gonna happen, so I just kind of gave up on that, which is sad. But I got the important part, so I can just plug them in somewhere. But he comes with these little two plastic things. I wish these weren't clear plastic because that's brittle, but anyway, what you can do with these is well, just kind of let your imagination run wild. You can put two swords together, give him like a Darth Maul staff. I know other people have done it, but you know, Darth Maul, whatever. Darth Maul's cool. You can plug those on his forearm. Give him the double blade arm blade. You can plug them onto his shoulder if you want. You can even plug those on his back if you want to give him like an H or something, or just the two blades. Sorry. But my favorite function of these, because I'm a giant man-child again, is to put them together like that. And you can give him claws. They don't plug in the best. A little bit of future. Should do that, but they stay on. It's just hard to get on. But like that is super cool. Like my inner 10-year-old loves this. Besides robots with swords, swords that then become claws. That's really awesome. But another thing I like to do with these that I think is cool is you can, because you can plug in really anything onto these. I have a feeling I'm going to break these because, you know, it's that brittle plastic and I'll play with them a lot. But you can give him the double arm cannon. I think that's really cool too. Give him that and a sword. And just, he's ready to go. But all in all, I am very, very pleased with my figure. He's got some light piping up in the head. Sorry, I don't think I covered that. Light piping up here. Yeah, kind of see it. Really pleased with him. I definitely worth the money. He cost me, shipped was like $23, which is basically the price of a Voyager. And considering his Voyager size, which I was super pleased with, because I like the third-party designs and I like their aesthetics for a lot of the figures, but I really, really don't like the price. So getting a KO one, which was what I felt a very appropriate price for this figure, was just really good. And I only got the one to kind of test the waters to see, you know, oh, well, let's see what this quality is like, and maybe I'll order the rest. And very impressed, very happy. I'm going to order the rest of them. I'm going to wait till Onslaught comes in, though, if I can be patient enough, because I want to have the whole set, definitely. But all in all, really good figure. The Machine Boy Nightingale. On eBay, he was just listed as Vortex. The instructions call him Nightingale. That's the only reason I know his name. And I'm not super strict about that kind of stuff, so I just call him Vortex. I don't care. Or KO. Usually I just call him KO Vortex. But, real quick before we go, let's throw him up next to some other people so you can see how big he is. This is War for Cybertron Soundwave. One of my favorites. I love Soundwave. You can see he's definitely bigger than a deluxe. And then we will have Movie Shockwave here. Stand them all on a line, so you can see that you know, he's actually a little bit taller than this Voyager, but he's not as wide. So I'd say it about equals out. I'd say they're, you know, around the same size, even though if their proportions are different. So he's definitely in Voyager scale, and honestly, I would recommend him for the price. This one is really good. He's got some good heft to him. Most of the joints are there. Really, you know, like the complaints I have are minor. There's a couple like sprue marks, and I'm totally fine with that. I've assembled so many Gundams that you just clean that off. I don't, you know, for the money I saved, I will definitely clean it off while I'm playing with them. That's fine for me. But yeah, awesome figure. If you like the Warbotron aesthetic, I would definitely recommend picking this guy up. He's a good price. You could even try to make a G2 Bruticus with him if you want, or Fruticus, or Duticus, or whatever you want to call him. Anyway, thank you very much for watching the video. Check out any other reviews I have posted. You can also head over to sadgamer.com, where I do written reviews of video games and a couple Transformer ones I've done in the past. Thank you very much for watching, and good night.